Good afternoon, everyone. Shape-shifting angel from an airplane at 30,000 feet. As the phase state shifts of this object, just like the Sapphire project, star in a jar, once the voltage increases, so does the shape and structure of what's visible to our human eye. The sun's going into a prolonged period of low solar activity, grand solar minimum. You would expect with the weakening magnetosphere, signs in the skies. Charged particles illuminating a magnetic field line on the Earth. And this anomaly takes us right into plasma meets petroglyphs. Which one is it? The plasma arc discharge phenomena? And how many canyon walls across our planet have the exact same visual imagery? Experimentation meets ancient history again and again. Which petroglyph do you think it matches most with? We see auroral arc Steve, that is the center stem of the squatter man appearing in our skies. Shift of the ages. Inflation in the U.S. will climb between 6 and 9% by year's end, said Steve Hanke, who served on Ronald Reagan's Council of Economic Advisors. Said the rapid growth in money supply, work fueling asset prices. But the negative side to this, the rise in inflation in 2021 has been caused 100% by growth of the money supply. When inflation spikes, commodities like gold, silver, lumber, real estate have historically surged. Learn how simple it is to add physical gold and silver to your portfolio ahead of the rise in inflation and predicted price rises. Patriot Gold Group has the no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold and silver, and you may be eligible for the no fee for life IRA. Call 1-800-356-4470 and get a free investor guide today. And the knowledge that Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer 5 years in a row from 2016 until present. Click the link in the description box below for more information. And now on with the video. And as soon as I saw this still image right here, I thought to myself, I have seen this several times in plasma experiments in laboratories. So I decided to spend some time in this 7 full-minute video. Of course, the debunkers would say, well, it's just cracks in the glass in an airplane and the swamp gas and bouncing light. But when you look at it, you can actually see it shift the shape. Somebody captured this at 30,000 feet, so the visual on the ground level would be very different, but 7 minutes traveling at 500 miles per hour would also give you a different visual reference. Now, perhaps I could have believed the cracked glass frozen something on the window if it had remained at this exact shape, but it didn't. It changed. So a basic primer to plasma petroglyphs, what is now replicated and photographed in laboratory experiments, has also seen on our canyon walls, cave paintings throughout antiquity. The ancients witnessed these events in our skies, but at incredible large levels, as something happens with our sun, our magnetosphere here on the planet, and they recorded it for us as a warning. Now, if we're talking about inflows of current in plasma columns, we start to see shapes that look like a person's head reaching with the arms up to the heavens. So I will ask you, the petroglyphs below that were done in this original analysis match very well with what was just seen off this airplane. But you notice where the body is down to where the feet would be, there's several layers of separation. It looks like filaments or field-aligned filaments in there, different charges between the two, possibly. But also looking at visible manifestations of plasma arc discharge phenomenon. You come back into these same shapes again and again. And what they find is this outflow of the torus is in relatively dense magnetospheric plasma. So from 30,000 feet and many miles away looking out the plane window, how large of an area was this that started to turn on and go into glow mode? So to give an example, Sapphire has replicated the atmosphere of the sun in a laboratory on Earth. You can scale this up or down, and when you increase the voltage input, you notice how the state changes, the visual spectrum changes. It starts to take different forms of matter, glow. And then what we start to see here is an enormous amount of petroglyphs forming in front of your eyes. But the state is changing depending on the current inflow. Now, the same thing apparently somebody witnessed from the airplane window, and this is what we're capturing here. The sun is going into a very low state of solar activity, grand solar minimum at the minimum, and possibly 5 of these cycles in a once in a 2,000-year event, because the planetary geometry that we're going to see in 2024 has not been seen since 79 AD, almost a 2,000-year repeat. So with the Earth's waning and weakening magnetosphere, we should start to see a lot of energetic particles visible to the naked eye running right down the magnetic field lines of our planet, and lo and behold, in front of you, this is not an auroral arc like Steve. This is the Northern Lights following a magnetic field line down on top of our planet. There's been an enormous amount of, shall we say, strangeness when you have these white Northern Lights, first time ever captured just 2 years ago. The atmospheric sprites are increasing in intensity, which means electrification, increase in Earth's atmosphere. And speaking of Steve, this was a plasma rope, plasma filament, named in 2017 on the far right image because it was the first time it had ever been seen or recorded. Now, since that time, it's been seen dozens and now 100 plus times. Each time, you can see the looping field-aligning currents. Each of those current loops is a different charge creating that rope. Berkling current is another way to term that. And it doesn't take too much of a stretch of the imagination to look and say, wow, Squatter Man, if it were to appear in our skies that large, the auroral rope is already getting to such a gigantic width that is the center body taking form in our skies as we speak. So these changes are real, and there shall be signs in the heavens and signs in the skies. Because when Squatter Man comes to life in the skies above you, that's 15, 20 miles high, taking up the entire horizon, people just aren't going to go to work anymore. Because anything you can replicate in a lab that's on a canyon wall, there seems to be a very strong correlation between the two of people witnessed it. It was such an all-encompassing event for society. It was left in the walls as a warning to us. Back to the video, you can see the state changing as the input of voltage increases. You can see the state of that object changing in the sky. So now my next question is, which petroglyphs most closely match this? And all of these are from the desert Southwest in the United States. So is it the objects reaching to the heavens? And you notice the one white right in the center there matches up pretty well with what we're seeing. And when you get to striations, they could be different current fields showing the break-in pattern instead of being a solid white object. But on the left, whatever was seen was something very similar. Now it looks like it had a different color within there. So you can go for days looking at these canyon wall pictures and continue to find things that match up very closely. Because even today it's difficult to describe what this is here. You could call it Jacob's Ladder, an auroral picket fence, whatever your name is for it. But imagine if it's the first time you've ever seen it and it appears in your sky like over Cuba and you're not used to seeing this, and then all of your electricity goes out and that's the end of your society. How would you describe that and be like, whoa, if you ever see this again, be real careful. This is the lightning strike over Washington, D.C. a couple years back. I did a video on this, finding different petroglyphs that matched very much that plasma discharge halo after the strike. Very much, very cleanly matching what was seen in the skies over Washington a couple years back. Remember, it's about the electrical input voltage and the change in state on how it shifts to the next pattern. It shifted into this secondary state before it became a network lattice, almost becoming human-like with arms reaching out, fighting position, and then it really started to take shape, this second set of frames here, where it did become a network lattice. And this is where it held for the rest of the video after it went to this lattice structure. And I thought, I have seen a lot of lattice structure petroglyphs in my day, and which one would it be? for you to decide, because as we know, this is going into something not experienced in the last 12,000 years. So all opinions are open for discussion. And I zoomed in on this last frame. It looked like it was going toward dark as the plane was transiting, and he was looking up into the upper atmosphere, heading to space, coming into dusk. So what do I see? I swear I saw a spider on there, and I said, that looked very much, is that Nazca lines? I mean, how much of this electrical phenomenon would have been put on the earth for us to remember these events, all-encompassing events? And then I started to find aurora, replicated and referenced as Egyptian iconography, and this takes you down the rabbit hole as deep as you want to go. These signals in the sky also signal that our growth seasons are changing, and where we can grow food presently is not going to hold where it can grow either. A lot of changes in the agriculture industry as you see across the planet, rising food prices, it's all related to this. Ancient history reflects where we're going in the future. Highly suggested to get some food together during these times. Storable foods while you can get your gardens up. Adapt 2030, My Patriot Supply, the 3-month emergency food supply. Head right over to foodwithadapt2030.com. My Patriot Supply also has 6-month and 1-year food kits. Take a look at what they have. That link's in the description box below, along with links to tonight's images and stories so you can do your own research. I do thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time.